Nearly every single starseed that I have ever met in my life has all had the same vision, have all shared the same vision. We have seen these, whether it's a healing center, whether it's a permaculture, a farm, whether it's a community center, it's a place, a hub, an epicenter where the new earth is being born, essentially, a place where we are getting to be together and land in the higher timelines and to really begin to build those higher timelines from there. And so the Aurora Hubs is like a whole other octave of consciousness and higher understanding that is coming in from our starseed families. So that's where I'm going to start, actually, because in the New Age, there are so many different collectives, right? There's the Pleiadian councils and the Syrian councils and the Andromedan councils. Well, to me, there is actually truly one organization, and cosmic beings are either working in alliance with this one organization or it's not. This one force of creation is, of course, Mother, Father, God, the living intelligence of the unified creation. And in many circles, these beings are called the guardians, they are called the Emerald Order, they are called the Angelic Council, they're called God's angels. I mean, they have so many different names that we could call them, but I believe that all star seeds are connected to this one council, which is why there is this massive realignment, reawakening in the starseed community at the moment to reorient towards God, to remember that what actually unifies us and why we're all actually here is because we love God so much. We know that life is absolutely sacred, and all of creation is made from this prayer of sanctity and beauty and wanting to experience. You look at nature and all the beauty that exists out there. And so many ascended beings from all over the universe who all carry the same energy inside of our body. This energy is what we call Christ, the Christed beingness, the crystal heart. This is when a being is in union and in devotion and in love and the pure expression of their love for God. And so in the cosmos, there are lots of councils and beings, but ultimately there is only one song, one beacon that is singing throughout the whole universe. And this is a great way, actually, for us to discern throughout the New Age, because as I believe that there were certain technologies that the baddies, let's call them, but here on Earth, they've had technologies where they can see into the future. And I believe they saw the star seeds and what we were doing and how we unified, how we came together, and how we found our way back home to God and how much we love God inside of our being. This is really the vibration of the ascended master, the true ascended masters, of true enlightened beings, beings that would go to a planet to fulfill a mission, right? Beings that would go to a planet just because we love living and things that are alive so much that we would go experience these hardships just to be in service, right? So, of course, beings that would choose to do that must have so much love inside of them. And there is a collective of these beings from all over the universe, and there is only one source that we all operate with. This is our highest guide, Mother, Father, God. So, of course, in the New Age, because they have seen what we were capable of and what we are about to do on this planet, they have created these different programs, let's say, frequencies and signals that channelers are picking up. And of course, it's all trying to fragment us into these little clicks. Oh, I follow this channeler and I follow this channeler. I'm actually a truther. I'm actually in the disclosure community. And what is unifying us at the moment is our heart and how much we love humanity and how much we love this earth and the highest destiny of what this earth actually is. And this is such a profound and actually deep thing to talk about because the earth is so many things. She's a living library. She is a crystalline architecture. She is a code key keeper in the universal body. She's a stargate keeper in the universal body. And she's also holding these blueprints for heaven on earth in such an immaculate way. There is truly so many mysteries to our beloved Mother Earth because we love her so much. Out of that love, we all chose to come here to the earth And at the moment, there's this massive reawakening in the starseed community where we're almost waking up from this fog, from these spells that have been tried to placed on our heads by the distortions and the new age false matrix glass ceiling. And we're waking up and realizing that there's an organic reality. There's a song that is being sung by the earth and by Mother, Father, God, and it's calling us home onto this organic timeline. Now, this is also the process of the time capsules unlocking, because many of us have actually been aware, have been seeded these visions for many years, sometimes even decades. So many of us were born in the 70s and the 80s. We were seeded with these visions, and we literally just had to wait for the time to come. And the beautiful thing that we experienced this summer with the Year of the Dragon 2024, of course, with the awakening of the dragon lines, which is another time capsule technology, a prophecy technology that we'll talk about. The dragon lines are this new set of massive ley lines that are awakening in the earth. They could be ancient, they could have always existed, but for whatever reason, they've started to come online, which is why new research is discovering them as new, because for the last, however many years people have been measuring ley lines, they were not picked up by our technology until 2027. So, they could have existed in a previous epoch, in the original blueprint of the earth, but they are just now turning and coming online since 2027. They are meant to come online fully by the end of 2024. And this is a timeline technology because the ley lines are carrying cosmic consciousness and cosmic intent. They are the background sound vibration. You guys ever seen those cymatic sound frequencies that creates those beautiful geometries in the sand? Well, the sound vibrations that are coming from the core of the earth, that's the origin place of these massive ley lines that are much, much bigger than any other ley lines that we've ever measured in human history. They actually come from subatomic quantum gravitational sound. I don't know what that is. That's what the scientists tell me, okay? They actually come from this. I knew that there was this frequency because I could hear them when I'm singing, and when I'm working with the grids, I can feel this sound vibration, but scientifically, that's really actually what they are. So the core of the earth is birthing these massive ley lines, and it's literally singing this new song, and almost as if it is singing this new cymatic pattern, it is restructuring everything on the planet. So this is actually a part of the Aurora technologies. The Aurora are this group of beings, or for me, I perceive it as really one amorphous rainbow pastel colored cloud. And you can tell that there are possibly millions of beings that live in this frequency field, but it almost feels like it could be one being because they're so unified. And when I tune into their frequency, it is pure innocence, true love. They're just singing God's praises, right? Praise is another resounding energy. There is so much deep reverence and love for creation. That's almost just the song that they sing. And even though all the individual beings inside of this beautiful plasma cloud, they all have their own specialties and they all have their unique intelligences and personalities, they actually are so anchored in their togetherness, and they're unified by what is their core virtue, which inside of each of their hearts is their love for God. And so I believe that these beings are our highest angelic self. It's a reflection of how we can be as a collective, as a starseed collective. There is so much judgment and confusion and mistrust. I feel this inside of myself sometimes when people reach out to me. It's almost like I'm like, are you an agent? Who do you work for? And all of this is because we've been seeded plants in our community, but at the core of our true selves, we really are these innocent, joyful beings that only sing God's highest praises. And through that, we receive the commission, the destiny, the prophecy that we're meant to live out in our lifetime. So it almost seems that the Starseeds actually came and rode in with the Aurora. And the Aurora came into this universe because this universe has been undergoing this universal lifetime experiment of absolute free will. All of this is actually explained in the foundational level of the Earthstar Academy, which I will also share with you about later. But essentially, this universe is going through a completion. from absolute free will to a higher octave of divine will. Sometimes in our reality, there's this confusion that divine will would mean that individuals would have no free will. But actually, for most of us that are living our life in alignment with the whole, in the law of one, in cosmic unity, we won't actually experience any difference. It's really just absolute free will means that you can live against that. You can live in harming of the greater self. You can live in separation. And that was the whole experiment. So that absolute separation experiment is coming to a close. And that's why we are all here on this earth right now. The earth is almost like this petri dish. It is this beautiful emerald marble in the core of the universal body. It's like a high heart kind of role in the universal body. The high heart carries the blueprint. So whatever happens in the high heart, it reverberates and fractals. And so the earth is this fractal body, which is why we have all sorts of everything, the AI, the viruses, the human trafficking, all sorts of stuff is here on the earth because we are actually resolving all of those things on a karmic level, fractaling out on a universal level. I hope that makes sense. So the beautiful thing is that the earth is this universal timeline technology, and every single starseed on the earth carries activation codes and DNA that works along with the earth's coding, and we all are here to activate a specific piece of this light body. When I feel into it, you need two people to detonate a nuclear bomb, right? So we need a certain number of activated starseeds to actually activate this timeline technology that's in the light body of the earth. And part of it is something that we're actually bringing here with us through the Aurora body, through the Aurora platforms. Okay, so that being said, part of our role, and this is why every single starseed, I believe, is a healer. Because what we're doing is essentially rehabilitating all the fallen filaments of this universal body. Because of the kind of universal experiment we have undergone, this universe has fallen and experienced a lot of distortion. And when I say consciousness, I mean, when I say this universe, I really mean that universal consciousness, the architecture of consciousness. And by the way, when I first woke up in 2012, I got this whole download through a dream that I was from Andromeda. And in my very previous lifetime, I was studying light field genetics. That was my specialty, my major, I guess. So that's why I'm explaining these things to you, because I've been a part of this Starseed Aurora Forces mission, planning and designing these light technologies that would rehabilitate the planetary light field genetics. That's why I've been called and hired for the job, let's say, from my scientific perspective. So anyway, because the universal consciousness has fallen to such a deep level due to the kind of horrendous things that has happened. I mean, you think about these horrible things that I can't really talk about here on this platform so much, but think about how much horror and genetic manipulation, right? Not even just in the mainstream, but in the underbellies, in the trafficking worlds, just what is happening in those realities, and what human and other animals' DNA, what DNA, even plant DNA in the pharmaceutical industries, what kind of degradation DNA has undergone just on this planet. So is all this seeding a reflection of the kinds of things that has happened in this universal body through this universal free will experiment? And so the Aurora has been called to come into this universal body to create this plasma field to rehabilitate, because the Aurora, for me, when I perceive, I know that other people have perceived the Auroras as well. They say that the Auroras come in through the high angelic realms of Andromeda. But when I tune into the Aurora, it feels like the Aurora is a direct expression, a direct emanation out of the omni-universal eternal source. So the eternal source is obviously when we connect to God, right? We feel that God is really eternal. There is this eternality, this perfect union, perfect love, perfect peace that I connect to, perfect joy, perfect knowing, omnipotence, right? All of these qualities are what I associate with the true qualities of original living creation, original God. And so for me, when I tune into the auroras, it feels like they were born right out of the omniversal, eternal source, God, born with this purpose, this destiny to actually facilitate and hold space, like be a host, be a holder of this consciousness. So, this consciousness of divine union, perfect love, joy, creativity, expanse, infinite capacity, infinite energy, infinite intelligence and genius, and perfect love and union with God at the heart and the core of it. So when I feel into the auroras, that's the frequency that I feel from them. And, for me, when I first woke up, 2012, 2013, somehow I just knew that I'm here to rehabilitate and bring everything home. I was having this awakening and I would just go and touch malls. I would be at the mall, I would touch the building, and I'd be like, I'm bringing this back home. And it made no sense to me, actually, to my conscious mind. But that was such a powerful and strong memory that's imprinted into my consciousness, because over the next 12 years that I've been training with my galactic teams and the Guardians and the Aurora, all of these things began to be pieced together. And I realized that not only are we rehabilitating everything and bringing everything back to source on this planet, that this planet was actually a host for the rehabilitation of the universal body, for us to graduate into a higher octave of divine will, taking all the wisdom that we've learned from absolute free will experiment and bringing it into this higher expression. Of course, we're seeing that unfold on the earth right now. So on the earth plane, we're experiencing it in a very third dimensional timeline, where the earth is actually also living out this destiny of creating heaven on earth. The earth was always born with this prophecy inside of her to be a host, to be a home for ascended civilization. So here we are on this planet. And of course, you're looking around outside, you're like, that's not happening right now, Z. Things are on fire. They are killing people. And there's all these agendas that want to control humanity, Z. So what are you talking about? So some people began saying that there's a bifurcation. Now, the absolute bifurcation is also one of these new age narratives that they try to insert to actually keep starseeds from remembering your highest prophecy. You didn't come down here to Earth just to hide in your house and create an Aurora hub and grow a farm and, let humanity sink into a timeline of depravity and, transhumanism. That's not why we came here. We came here literally as part of this timeline anomaly technology that is the Aurora. I call it the Earth Star Healer. When I first woke up, though, that was the name of this technology that was given to me. And it made sense, because it was almost like if all the consciousness on the earth was healthy and all the beings and all the humans were just full of joy and God's love, it would almost look like this beacon of starlight coming off the planet. And so the earth, in her original blueprint, it almost like feel like the earth was a star. And so the Earth Star Healer is like restoring the stellar intelligence, the original blueprint, the living light technology that is the genetics of the Earth, is something that was coming to rehabilitate this planetary intelligence. And so I've been journeying with this technology that I nicknamed the Earth Star Healer. That was a name that was given to me since 2012. And I think part of the reason was because the Guardians and the Aurora were hiding themselves from me. And the reason was because I had to go through a lot of trials and initiations that tested my human ego and my human character. I had to go through a lot of trials and trainings to make sure that I would be a grounded and capable human to be able to hold this architecture that I'm sharing with you. And to be an oracle or a speaker or, as Land tells me, a conveyor of this timeline. And so we are literally holding these keys in our genetics that are not only initiating this timeline on a planetary level, but literally on a universal level. And the beings that are here on Earth right now are all being gone through lifetimes of initiation and training and have proven themselves, have aligned themselves. If you are a starseed, you're someone that have aligned yourself with God over and over again. Being in alignment with integrity and God's love inside of your soul has been so much more important to you than anything else in many, many lifetimes. And that's how you ended up here in this lifetime, where you are playing a very important role in the unfolding of timelines here on Earth. Now, the Earth Star Healer, the Aurora platforms, it is a very interdimensional technology. When I first met my husband, the first meeting that we had, actually, when the Guardians brought us together, I was like, I can't do this myself. I need somebody who has, technology skills and who can build, a platform, who can build a community. I don't really know how to do any of these things. And immediately I saw my husband's face. And then a little short while after that, he actually reached out to me. And so when we first met, we actually were going to work on building this platform together. And so the first time that we were about to have a business meeting, the first time we were getting on the phone, right before we were getting on the phone, I started getting pulled up and out. My crown started opening, all the starlight started coming in. And I was like, wow, what is this beautiful, pristine, precious intelligence? And I had to get in the bath because that's where I do my work. The water holds the water inside of my body. It's almost like I have more mass that way, I can have more access to plasma. And so I got in the bathroom. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't, I know this is our first business meeting, but I have to get in the bathtub because something's happening. And all of a sudden I start getting pulled, and I went up into this light ship, what I now call lovingly the mothership. So the mothership is not a spaceship at all. Sometimes people that don't understand my work will say, Z talks to clank clank spaceships. She's false light or whatever. And it's like, I'm just having fun. I call it the mothership because it's such a loving nickname. It's such a beautiful nickname for this plasma field that is made of Aurora intelligence, that is so full of original consciousness. And I hope you're feeling it beaming off of me. It's just pure joy, pure love. And I got pulled up into this boardroom looking space, and there were fish people and there were these other beings, and they were like kind of serious. They're like, all right, here's the blueprint. And I saw again, because I used to see these visions of these hundreds and hundreds of healing centers. These were the first visions that I received back in 2013. But for this particular time, I guess in 2021, 8 years into the future, they were showing me the multidimensional aspects of this technology. So essentially, I was seeing the Earth's grids and the multidimensional body of the Earth, and how the Earth's grids, because it has been under control and there's been so much black magic, spell work, military bases, wars, sacrifices, all of these things, it's all grid war, right? When you look at it from the spiritual perspective, all of these things that they do, ultimately on the highest level, is to dim human consciousness and to lower the vibration on this planet to keep planet Earth from ascending into her organic timeline. Okay? And so that's a really important perspective to have, because as a human self, it's really hard for me sometimes to get sucked into the story. But then if I'm too distraught and I'm crying and I'm disempowered, then I'm not going to be able to do my job. So I kind of have to zoom out and see things from the scientific holographic perspective. Okay? And so in this vision, they were showing me that there are, first of all, our light body that we are seated here on Earth with, the starseeds. Our light body is actually the first Aurora hub, because our soul actually remembers through the lifetimes of ascension work, light body work. You think about these stories about Jesus and Babaji and the miracles that they have performed. Well, currently on Earth, I'm sure every single one of you may feel these weird feelings. Sometimes I'm like, if I feel into it too much, I might just fall through this wall. Hope I'm not the only one. I hope I'm not sounding like a crazy person. But I know for fact, I mean, I've even already seen miracles happen in these healing containers where tumors are disappearing and, alcoholism is just gone, right? Because in this field, when we are in our original state and our toroidal field is sourcing organic intelligence from the God worlds and the ancient earth realms, we're actually this field of coherence. So that means everything that comes into contact with us, everything that is in our field actually begins to rehabilitate, right? So we are actually the first Aurora hub, and the process of us healing our traumas, activating our light body, these are the things that are so important, because without understanding how to do these things inside of our own body, we will not be able to build something of massive size, massive coherence on the earth, right? And so this is why the foundations level curriculum in the Earth Star Academy for the first 250 modules is all about healing our ancestors, healing our human self, healing the God wound, healing our parent wound, healing our inner child, healing our body, learning how to maximize and mineralize our body and understand that our body is a very elemental being that has its own immense consciousness. That's another part of this, is understanding that the earth, not only is she a living intelligence, she has so much magic embedded inside of her. And so when we learn how to commune with the organic components of the earth, which is our human body, we actually learn how to commune with the earth. So none of these things exist in the new age because they're trying to mind wipe us, and they're trying to block us from actually engaging in this depth of understanding that we're meant to have as spiritual beings, right? And the Guardians and I have been weaving this massive curriculum. It's honestly been a huge challenge because you guys know I have two babies now, and this was actually part of my my test. I had my baby in 2022, and the Guardians asked me to start the Earth Star Academy, and I was basically feeding my baby and then working until 2 in the morning, being up with the baby. And I was like, God told me to get this curriculum out, and I'm going to do it no matter what it takes. And it was after I completed the foundations curriculum that the Guardians really emerged, and the Aurora really showed up and said, you passed the test through the last 10 years of this stuff that we've been throwing at you, and are ready now to come through and establish the intermediate and advanced level curriculums that will help the starseeds in truly having the understanding that lands this mission. So understanding that there is a 12 to 15th dimensional light body architecture, but beyond that, we are actually connecting in with the eternal source that the aurora came from. And through doing this, we are rehabilitating the light body that we have. And it's really multi-layered because we really have to begin with the earth self level of this, okay? This is the first step. The human self has been through the brunt of the tragic situations and trauma and abuse here on earth. And even that is very multifaceted, okay? Because you think that it was just our parents that weren't fully present. You think that it was the chemicals that we're eating. You think is going to school and not having our soul be supported and seen. But it's even so much deeper than that, right? We think about the multidimensional abuse that our human body has gone through, even with the medical system, not really respecting the divinity of these very particularly designed human bodies. For me, I have such an immense love for this human vessel because it was literally made by the hands of God to be a vessel for God's intelligence. And so there's so much about the body that humanity has forgotten. And because we've forgotten about it, and because it's been purposely removed from our consciousness, right, by modern science. When have we heard that before? Trust the science, right? That coming back into right relationship with the multidimensionality of our body and how it's actually a living oracle The body has the answers to every single thing. The body is our access to the universal living plasma Akash, because our body is organic. So some people like to journey with their consciousness and go into the light field Akash, but that version of the Akash can easily be infiltrated and coded with false information, which is why sometimes we can go into sessions and there's all sorts of channelings. People say some crazy out there stuff and share prophecies that, sometimes don't even come true. And when it comes to real earth grounded stuff, their human life is in shambles. They are broke. They can barely stand on their own feet. Forget about awakening the whole planet and creating a new planetary ascended civilization. Their own human life is completely in shambles. And this is why grounding into the body's water, because water is actually the conduit of the universal organic plasma Akash. In the universal body, that water system is the plasma that exists in the universal body. So the plasma and the water are the conduits for universal intelligence. So when we actually land in the organic technology that is our body, this is when we can access that Akash and all of the information pertaining to our DNA, our soul's lineage, our mission here on Earth, and actually any other piece of information that actually aligns with yourself, because the water is the home of all water, and water is the conduit of all intelligence and all consciousness. So again, we're learning to land in the organic, which is helping us come into communication with our body, because this is the easiest way that we can then come into communion and right relationship and communication with the organic reality that is the earth. Similar to our body that has an elemental intelligence, so does the earth. And understanding how to communicate with land, and for me, land is really like very advanced beings, right? I have more literal conversations with land and elemental beings than I probably do with humans, because the land carries so much knowledge. I'm talking about the original land, and the beings are guardians of the land. Now, there's no coincidence as to why eradicating tribes and wisdom keepers and knowledge that pertains to the human relationship with the earth has been one of the most big campaigns we've seen on the earth. Why is that? Is because our connection to the human connection to the earth, to the codes and the keys that are embedded in the earth, and our ability to commune and connect and communicate with the earth, these are the ways that humans are sovereign and powerful. Of course, we don't hear a lot about that in the New Age community, again, because so much of what we see in the New Age are very surface level things that feed you kind of things that are kind of interesting, so that it almost nourishes that part of you that's seeking, but then it really numbs you out to the depth and the profoundness of this experience that we're having here together. Okay, so that's the first step in building these ascension hubs. So what's the difference between just a regular piece of land with a retreat center? And to be honest with you guys, there are so many retreat centers out there, but when you operate on this higher consciousness, right, higher understanding, it's not better or worse, it's just greater levels of awareness, greater knowledge. When you're holding this awareness in your mind and in your field, and you're working with the earth in this intention, this is what allows you to have a center that's clicked in to the Aurora platforms. For the Aurora to actually be able to come through the passageways and the stone circles and the architecture and the ceremony and the intentions that you are setting. You're basically the earth liaison, the conduit. So in order for the Aurora to actually come through your body, that's why you have to heal, right? If we still are holding what Lisa Renee calls biowave consciousness, which is another way of saying friction, conflict, war, jealousy, hierarchy, comparison, everything that keeps us in separation instead of co-creation and collaboration, that also goes with codependency, right? Sometimes in the New Age, we think because there's unity consciousness, that means that I can just rely or depend on others and not have to do my own work. I can just wait for handouts and not come into my own power, right? It's two sides of the same coin. Sometimes we can be too separate, and sometimes we can be codependent. And both of those things actually block us from being in true, harmonious, organic unity consciousness, which is what is required for us to get this job done. So we need every single hand on board, right? So for me, I've been communicating with ETs, and the earth has been teaching me how to do these ceremonies and commune with the land. I don't, maybe some of you guys don't know, but for about 10 years, I lived in my car and just did whatever the earth told me to do. So I was working one day in Ontario, Canada, and the earth was like, get in your car and drive to Vermont and quit your job. And I was like, what? And I was sitting there and I was like, let me just make sure that this is not a trickster spirit, because, I was also working on discerning different beings, and I feel this resonance coming deep from the earth, and I knew that it was organic intelligence. And so I got in my car after 2 hours of sitting in a freeze, and I drove to Vermont, and I found my first Stargate in this lifetime. So these kinds of things have been happening to me for, again, 10 years. This was part of my Stargate keeping training. So I wrote about a lot of these experiences up to 2020. Yeah, up to 2020 in my book, I Am Starseed. It's on Amazon if you're interested. But anyway, is now to this point where I'm recognizing that there is a massive timeline activation. The time capsules are unlocking, because when we were in Ireland, which, it's also something that the earth asked me to do. I would never do, I mean, I guess at this point, I don't even have much of personal preference, because I know that God's plan is the best plan, and God will always take care of me. And God will always want me to be in my most joyful and in a place where I'm sharing my gifts to the highest extent. That some things I don't have to figure things out with my mind. I can just rely on my union with God and receive this guidance. And so God asked me to go to Ireland to the ceremony on the 888 and to create the most beautiful homecoming conference for my star family. And I was like, okay, but I'm pregnant. So they're like, just give birth in Ireland. I was like, what? This is craziness. And I was communicating to the soul of my son, who was like, yes, I'm meant to be born in Ireland. I have these codes. I want to support in the awakening of the emerald structures inside the light body. Ireland is a very, very, very special place. But the most exciting thing was that we were unlocking the time capsules, because I had seen these visions that the Emerald Covenant, which is the promise that God made, that at the end of this universal experiment, we would all get to come back home no matter how fallen we have become. And every single starseed is here on earth because of this covenant that God had made. We're all part of this rehabilitation effort, this process of humanity getting to come home after this journey out into the fall. Okay, and I got some flack for that, because people were like, who do you think you are to do this kind of ceremony? And it's just I don't think I'm anyone. I honestly am just in such a state of awe that magic and miracles are unfolding in my life, and I get to do ceremony, I get to talk to the land, I get to have children, I get to wash the dishes, I get to do all of these things, and it really has nothing to do with me wanting anything at all. And I think this is one of those ego training things that I've had to go through and also exemplify, so that I could be trusted to be in this role that I'm in, which I'm so honored to be in. I'm so honored that I get to talk to you guys and create support systems and create lighthouses and pathways and really be a beacon of this organic timeline, be a speaker, be a conveyor of this organic reality that it might be, I mean, even for me sometimes it's hard to fully believe in. I'm like, I sound like a crazy person, but somehow there are thousands of people that really feel these things in your body, in your bones as well. You are here to be part of this prophecy of heaven on earth. Yeah. And so we had this incredible ceremony on the Hill of Tara on the 888. Everybody wore headphones so that we could be connected into a sound field. And it was just perfectly misty. It seemed so mystical and so many miracles. Imagine being 150 people out with these silent disco headphones doing a gridwork ceremony. And it was a really big field with hills. It was just so beautiful. It was definitely one of the most magical experiences that I've ever had. But we unlocked these time capsules because it was now time. We've been having these visions for decades and decades, and we still have some time, right? But the frequencies of the Aurora hubs are able to come and touch down onto the earth now, specifically through human bodies, beings that have been doing your work. You've been doing your healing. You've been detoxing your body. You've been feeding yourself minerals and going out into the sun. And you've been working with your light body and healing your earth self traumas. Those are the people that are going to get tapped on the shoulder first because you understood your assignment, right? There are other people that received the visions and fell into self-importance and did nothing to heal themselves and only try to exert some sort of dominance or self-importance. Those people are probably going to be sad that they're not going to get a tap on the shoulder, or they are, where God is just like, hey, you can't avoid doing this work. You can't avoid doing it forever. You're going to have to do it at some point if you're going to be a part of this. Violet Train says, how long did it take you to fully learn to discern? So for me, it was always active in my body. I have never watched any channelings. I'd never watched any really tarot videos. I've never really been into a lot of tarot things. I never listened to many courses by other people. Ever since I woke up, it was like something deeply embedded in my heart and my soul knew that the only beings that I'll ever work with are beings that are just so deeply holding this love for God, full stop, nothing less. And so, I would have Babaji come and I would just sit in his presence and cry because I felt so in union with God. And that's the only thing that I ever want. And so that was just something that I was born with, I guess. And I just didn't, because most of the time beings use our naivety or our ego desires to make contracts and deals with us. And usually is the part of us that, wanted to be seen, wanted to feel important, wanted our parents to notice us, right? It's a very organic and human part of us that gets tricked because, and this is why the ego training and the self-healing is so important. This is why in the Earth Star Academy, we offer ego training, lucidity training, right? Self-healing. Those things are essential because it helps us move through all the things inside of us that block us from just being in pure union with our own inner spirit and with God. That we have no selfish desire. We have no self-will. Even, I guess there are certain things like that you would have to, you do have will. You would apply your will at being of service to the higher timeline, being selfless, right? It's funny. It's like you have will, but you're using your will to a higher cause and you're not applying your will to get what you want, if that makes sense. Okay, so anyway, we do this through healing our inner children and our inner selves and becoming an adult. That's what I was saying before, is that the world, human society has been decimated, right? We have lost track of the most sacred things, which are children and our family. We've lost family values. We lost tradition. And those things are important because that's how humans pass wisdom and money and stability and power from generation to generation. Okay. And, we work on that in the foundations level as well. It's a very comprehensive support system that I've been working on building with the guardians so that our human self can get all of the support that they need to heal. So then once that happens, then we will find land. Land will call to you, right? And in order for you to hear land, You're going to have to be able to follow guidance. And so part of this, then, trusting in the guidance and actually surrendering your human desires. Because so oftentimes we're getting the guidance, right? We're getting the information. God is like, you need to meditate. You need to heal this thing. You need to write this book. You need to learn this modality. You need to go on this trip. And sometimes we're like, oh, I can't do that right now. I'm doing this human thing and I'm scared to do that. And it's okay to be scared. It's okay to have human emotions, but that's where the healing comes in. We have to have the tools and the presence and apply our will at being in aligned with our soul's mission. And so when we start to listen, which we learn through meditation and learning to journey with our body, these things that I teach in the foundations level, right? Once you have these skills, you apply in your life where you're meditating every day, you're listening to your body, you're healing yourself. Then God says, do this thing, and you'll know exactly what to do, right? So then you'll be able to, and again, this is a process of understanding organic guidance and new age guidance, new age false light. Okay, because so many people, okay, inside of our human body, we're like, I want to be seen, I want to be important, I want to live a life where I can not have to work. I want this, I'm manifesting, right? Okay, I've never had a vision board. I've never tried to manifest anything, but I have every single thing that I could possibly want to have. Okay, because I live in this beautiful home, but before this I was homeless. I lived in a car. I was in my mom's basement, and I still listened to every single thing. I never thought, what would I want? And it's funny because I'm here and I'm like, I don't even kind of feel worthy of it, or I feel out of place, because to me I'm still homeless, but God wants me to be here, right? God has taken care of the things that I could possibly want to put on a vision board, but I don't need to put it on a vision board, because all I want is to be aligned to the mission and be able to hear and listen to God, and to really listen to God and do the things that I'm expected of, so that I can be on my soul's mission, so I can play out my soul's prophecy. That is what would be on my vision board. My soul's destiny. Whatever my soul wanted to do here on this earth and why I came here, that's what I want to be doing. And you have to want that so badly, right? Where it's not the house on the beach, it's not your partner, it's not money, it's not a new age business so you can quit your job. It's not any of those things. It's just your desire to be in union with God and to be on your mission. Because then you really learn how to listen, and you won't be tricked by the things that are shiny out there, right? And we're breaking these spells. We're cracking the new age glass ceiling that has held our family in complacency for so long, and forgetfulness, playing on our human immaturity, which is not our fault. Again, our society, our children are never getting the rites of passage they need to grow into an adult. And this is what we talk about, some of which are in the intermediate level. We talk about the rites of passage into adulthood, because you can't be a leader, you can't change the world if you're not an adult. And what I mean by that is, really, this is the same thing. We're talking about the selfishness. It's like people say, here's my vision board. Here are the things that I'm manifesting. And the spiritual community, the new age, is so all about manifesting, right? Easiest way to get into a contract with lower forms, lower beings, by saying, I want all of this stuff. I want it. I want it so much. I'm manifesting it. And then beings can come in and say, oh, you want it? How much do you want it? Because I can give that to you, right? But the thing is that the only reason why those kinds of spiritual teachings are so popular is because humans are not evolving in our maturity as we're growing up. And children are meant to take everything in, right? The parents are taking care of them. They have a home, they have food, everything is given to them. That's the right relationship. But when children grow up into an adult, that's when they are now in this orientation of being of service to the tribe. And most of us have never evolved and grown into that. This is a great conversation for the equinox, right? Because these rites of passages, which there are ceremonies inside of the academy, I facilitate these ceremonies that are required for you to bring your inner child into alignment, which is the foundations level. And then in the intermediate level, we really begin to orient our consciousness and ourself towards service to the world, service to the tribe, service to God, being in union, not in this mental way, I want to be in service, but in an embodied way where we're willing to do the hard things as a human being, grounded inside of our body. And that's kind of, before we are even in our body, they feed us all these lies and distortions in our mind control, right? Distortions, false teachings. And really, when we get into the organic teachings, it is so wholesome. It's so grounded. It's so rooted in the organic earth energies. Okay, so now we're oriented in the right energy. We're here to be of service. We're not doing anything because we want to be important and we want to be seen and we want to be famous. We want humans to see us in a certain way, right? We're doing it because we love the earth. This organic frequency of being on mission is we love humanity and the earth so much that we'll do anything. We'll do anything for God. We'll do anything for the thing that we love. Okay? And that's when we'll be able to really hear what the earth is saying. Now, when you practice that for a while, land is going to begin to communicate to you. And you're going to begin to be drawn to certain places. And in the intermediate and advanced level curriculum, we talk about planetary grid work because it's actually a complex subject. It's not just about, going to places and doing energy work or even throwing crystals around or having this idea that we need to go somewhere to exert our energy. This travel, this journey, this mission to Ireland has been such a profound initiation because very intense levels of deep listening was required. Deep listening means not having ideas of my own, not having an idea of how things should go, with organizing a conference. I mean, it really required a lot of flexibility because I was 6 weeks postpartum when this conference happened. And when we got there was a lot of moving pieces. People were coming in, land guardians and indigenous people that were, keepers of the land, and being able to diplomatically communicate to all these people. These are very important skills to have, to be able to communicate in a grounded way, to show up as a healthy human being. These are all the most essential things because as the keeper of an Aurora hub, you will end up being a representation of this new timeline. So those of you that have a planetary leadership contract, these are people that feel like you're meant to be well known. You're meant to be a leader. You're meant to move the timeline in a really big way. And so being a leader is really about being a role model. So what kind of human are you going to have to be embodied in? How much capacity, how much responsibility can you anchor inside of your body, right? On behalf of the world. And these are the true king and true queen codes. So you see in the new age, there's all of this, you got this, queen, go get it. Go get what you deserve, queen. And, while the true queen, the true king are really beings that are willing to be of service to God more so than what most people are willing to be, right? They have more capacity to hold the domain and to pave a way for people and to be an embodied reflection of the true values and virtues of living in Christ, being a good person, right? So I believe that if you are awakening at this time, you have a leadership contract because that's why you are awake earlier than other people. You're awake now and other people are still asleep. And so in order for you to truly step into that, there is so much learning and growth and working out of your psychic light body and physical body that must happen. So now, last summer in June, the same week that Lisa Renee actually released this newsletter about the Blue Rainbow Bridge, my family and I were guided to this land here in Costa Rica. And we were there on the day when the Schumann resonance went crazy. You guys remember in June around the solstice, there was a day where it was almost like these spiral helixes. They looked like DNA was activating. And so that was a day that we ended up on this land. And when I got there, I realized that there were all of these capsules of information that were in the land. And these, I'm sure some of you guys are feeling this energy right now. It's a light technology architecture. So a lot of this is the intermediate and advanced level Earthstar Academy curriculum that is hidden in this land. But so much of it is also the architecture of the Aurora Hub platforms that we're here to build. Now, if you're just wanting to build a healing center or a yoga center, that's one thing. But if you want to build a light technology that's actually going to flush all of the distortions off the planet, we're talking about the planetary grid contortions through the ritual abuse, through the lies, through the military bases that's compressing human consciousness, right? As soon as we actually replace that grid, humanity will just come back and wake up in no time. That grid and the TV, the mind control is really holding humanity back in a really big way. So that's why the grid work is such a massively important thing that we're doing. Because as soon as we can actually anchor the Aurora hubs, it's almost like we just turn the technology on, we flush a toilet. That's the vision that they showed me when I was up there on the mothership in the boardroom with these beings. They showed me that this light technology was going to anchor around the planet. And because of our activated light bodies and these light structures that we're able to anchor into the earth through this architecture, we're literally holding this field together, supported by the dragon lines, right? That we're holding this frequency field and we're becoming the drivers of the timeline. That whatever energies that are inside of people that are making them do horrible things to children, that are making them addicted to certain things on the internet, it's all just going to start to clear out of them because it's all implant technologies. It's all viruses and attachments and demons and interdimensional energies. Which is why, again, the self-healing is essential, because this is what I take you into, recognizing those demonic field injections in our own body. This is the next course that I'll be working on, course 2.2, Advanced Light Work, Galactic Shamanism, understanding why pedophilia exists and how to heal it, how to correct that in the field, because this is what we're seeing on a planetary level. So obviously we have time, because we're going to need to train and we're going to need to get into these high levels of embodiment inside of our own body before we can anchor this onto the planet. Okay, so this leads me to this land. We're currently having a fundraiser to complete this second payment for this property. It was due today. We are not there yet, but I'm basically holding a fundraiser retreat here really close to the land. If you guys can feel this frequency, okay, this is the holy mountain architecture that Lisa Renee talks about that's coming online right now. A lot of you guys have star-seeded blueprints and light technologies and soul pieces that are going to come through when you come here. And a lot of you guys will come here in the future because we're building a meditation retreat here. It's going to be a very intense, advanced meditation retreat that only souls that are meant to come here will ever come here in the physical. But right now, there's a very, very beautiful retreat center just up the hill from me. And actually, when we got home from Ireland, the thing is, normally I don't fundraise. I don't crowdfund. I'm very proud of myself for being very competent and grounded, even having children. I'm very good at creating beautiful experiences and teachings. I've got so much to share. I'm very good at sharing my gifts. And so the last 2 times, I've basically run these healing containers that have met both of the payments. This time I was pregnant, and then I was in Ireland, and then I facilitated a conference that didn't make money because conferences, I got every single thing that I wanted to make such a beautiful experience for the people. I got the wedding flowers and the venue and the buses and the meals. I got everything. And I'm so happy that we didn't make any money because, it was just a beautiful experience for everyone. And I didn't want to raise the prices. But unfortunately, that means getting home this time, I could not make the payment myself. But anyway, it feels like it's time for us to come together. It felt like this amazing team was coming together. I'm looking for people that, you have this money, you're here to listen to land, that you're here to maybe manifest miracles. Okay, that this land, and you feel this timeline. You feel that you're here to have a planetary leadership contract. This is what who this retreat is for, because I would never want you to give me money that you can't be spending, okay? This is about working together and building something beautiful and an opportunity for that. Now, for those of you that can't come to this retreat, but you feel this resonance, the Earthstar Academy is only $89 a month. And the reason why it costs that much, because, people are like, you should just have this for free. Well, we're working together. We have to get grounded. Okay, I am putting in hundreds and thousands of dollars to build these Aurora Hubs because I believe in my mission. And you can do it too. So in the Earthstar Academy, I teach you how to heal yourself, come into ego training, how to communicate with your true guardian teams, which actually don't come until the intermediate level, because the guardians really want everyone to go through the foundations level curriculum before we ever talk about talking to aliens, okay? We don't just channel, we don't just pull cards, we don't just try to communicate with these beings. We have to have a deep relationship with ourselves first. That's how we discern. And so, the Earthstar Academy is a pathway for the Earthstar healer, for the Aurora Hubs to truly land and be made physical on this planet. And at this current phase of our mission, we know we need so many things. Like, the Guardians are wanting to create a grid work map so we can communicate and build these technologies. Well, I reached out to a tech company, and they told me it was going to take $1 million to build the platform that we need. And we need to build the platform. Money is nothing when you know how to alchemize source energy and turn your gifts and your soul spark into money, because you're going to need money. Starseeds run away from money. And I love this video by Steve Irwin. We just celebrated his death anniversary. He says, oh, money, I love money. I don't care whose money it is. I'll take it, and I'll buy wilderness areas, and I'll protect wildlife. Right? This is a healed and healthy inner masculine that deals with this world and is grounded here. And so the Earthstar Academy is literally holding just all of these codes. It is 700 modules for a reason, because, there's really so much to it. We're talking about communicating with our body, communicating with minerals, communicating with land, learning how to heal our light body, from, the interdimensional demonic injections that have held this planet down, right? If you want to be a healer, this is essential. This is why it's also a training ground for healers, because this is the true dimension of shamanic energy in which you can actually really heal people from, help people heal from, right? Because this is the place where the root of the disease sits. Okay. And just to let you guys know, I do have every intention on making Isa free one day, when we can come to that point, when humanity wakes up and humanity is going to need help rehabilitating our light body. At that point, hopefully we have all of the land and all of the technologies built, right? I think this is another part of the thing, is like, if you want a hub, you want to buy land, it's going to take money. And yes, we might have donors, we might have support, but to me, I've had all this training because the land wants it to come from this Aurora energy. It doesn't want it to come, we've had people that wanted to donate, but the land didn't want their money because they didn't know where that money came from. It wanted the money to be purified. So there's so much to it. And, I have the 700 module curriculum that is being built to support these Aurora hubs to be built. So I also have this lifetime membership for the Earthstar Academy. If you feel like you are on this mission with me and you are my soul family, securing this land is really, really important. I know that the land is going to be secured no matter what, but if you want to be part of this, because this is the last payment that we have to make before we can just get a loan and pay it off, and the land will officially be under our stewardship. So the payment is $240,000. There's no structures on the land. It's just pure raw land with so much forest and hills and stones and natural stone circles and portals. So it's perfect for, and for us to read the files. The land has been untouched by any hands. So I have a lifetime membership on a discount. Normally, the lifetime membership is $3,500, which is still a steal because it's a 3 to 5 year college program, okay? You're going to be able to help people heal. You'll be able to launch a business. That's the thing, is that the system is really built in a way where I give you guys every kind of support you could possibly need. How to heal yourself, how to train your ego, how to train your psychic abilities, how to heal on a multidimensional level. And then I'm going to teach you guys how to do grid work and communicate with the earth and find the ley lines. And then I'm going to teach you how to run a new earth business in accordance with Aurora unity consciousness economics. Okay? Because anyway, it's really meant to be something that helps you every step of the way. And currently I'm only on 2.2 because I need to actually go and retrieve the course from the land. Actually, we'll be channeling the course on the land. I'm just going to go to the land. I'm asking somebody to build me a little gazebo. I'm going to be transmitting that. It's not really channeling. It's called transcription. I'm transcribing information that's coded in a time capsule in my DNA. I'm not really channeling. I'm translating information from energy into English. But yes, 2.2 Advanced Light Work is this current course that I'm working on. And it's about working with our body and our light body multidimensionally. So the advanced level curriculum has yet to come through because it's inside of the land. I'm going to be like meditating. So what about Jedi power? Practice that also? Yes. So for me, a lot of my activations come from meditating directly on the land. And so the advanced level curriculum is in the earth. I'm going to be retrieving that information after meditating on, I'm hoping, who's feeling this frequency accreting right now? The land is like coming through to show you guys what I'm really talking about. But yeah, normally the lifetime membership is $3,500, which means you would get lifetime access to every single version of the platform for the rest of our life, for the rest of our mission, which includes, the grid work maps and, all sorts of things. But currently, it's available for $2,400 just for this week as part of my fundraiser for this land that we are securing, that is secure, that we just need to offer finances. So Diana says, you may find interesting to establish your centers as gov-free jurisdiction. So actually have a trust lawyer on my team. She's really, really amazing. She is licensed in 7 states. And we actually are looking into a lot of this. The trouble is we've been looking into some of these companies that say that they create trust, but they're kind of ungrounded new agers who actually are not forming the trust in accordance to the law. So that will not actually hold up in the court of law, which has actually been troublesome in many situations. So we have, again, we're calling forth our dragon team, right? Grounded individuals. Maybe you just woke up. Maybe you've had a life of a career with skills that you're here to share with the people. Anyway, back to this retreat. You will be here with me in November over the Pleiades Gateway, November 17th to the 27th. It is 10 days. It is a half silent meditation retreat because you can feel the energy of this land. It is so transformative. You'll just be a different person just by doing that. But then we also will have live oracle ceremonies, sharing teachings around the planetary leadership contract, light body activation, and yes, those that feel like you'll be performing miracles, this land is holding those DNA sequences and light body aspects. So it's almost like we're just going to slide into that version of ourselves that has already accomplished these levels of ascension in a past life. And I just think that is really beautiful because this land is literally supporting the entire Aurora platform architecture. So when you build your land, this land will be supporting your land. And actually, this is how the Aurora Hubs work, is that we're all supporting each other when that support is needed. And that energy is flowing through the circles, through this energy. And that's what the land wants. The land doesn't want handouts. It doesn't want random donations from business people that have no idea what we're doing. This energy has to be aligned and has to be alive. And so I'm really looking forward to this all-star team who are meant to be here for this retreat. There are only 20 spots left. You can find the link in the description. And again, I really hope that you can join the Airstar Academy. And if you can't right now, then you need to get grounded. Right? Here's the thing, is that we think that the higher timelines are just going to come and one day we'll be in heaven on earth. And that's unfortunately just what the new age has done to people. I call it new age spiritual airhead syndrome. And it's not our fault. It's like this literally was designed to block us from taking responsibility for our life. But $89 is like a phone bill these days. Right? It's really your contribution by you saying, yes, I take responsibility for my slice of the mission, and I'm going to contribute to this with my energy in a way that energy is needed. Because sometimes people say, well, can't I just volunteer? Well, I have a team, and there's nothing really that we need right now. Maybe one day. But what we really need is for that energy to be unlocked because, money, you can apply money in anything that you need, which is why money is a shared language of energy. I have a free workshop on my YouTube channel about the money wound, actually 2 of them. So you can watch those if you need a little help in that regard. Those transmissions are made to break through poverty wounding and confusion and things like that, because there is something called Aurora economics, is the same as nature economics, where everything in nature is giving. We're oriented towards giving instead of in this victim energy of wanting people to give us things. So anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing those 20 people here. We will be doing immense retrieval work. The people that are here are actually going to be unlocking the time capsules. We're going to be unlocking the time capsules together in the land. We will probably be going to the land. Now, I'm very protective. So, if you're a plant, you probably are not coming. But for the rest of you guys that are our soul family, I really would love for us to have a meditation together, because we will be unlocking the time capsules that are in the earth together. And anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed this transmission. There's so much. There's too much to tell you. I hope you can tell there's too much to tell you, because we're really healing planetary pedophilia, because pedophilia is a virus that harms innocence, and innocence is what connects humans to the divine, to our inner sense of divinity. That's why they say, yet lest you become like little children, you shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. Because it's really about this spark, this untainted source consciousness that as if is in a child, but that actually is meant to mature out of childhood into an embodied human being, a matured adult that still is holding that perfect Christed architecture of purity and innocence in our consciousness. This is why there's such an assault on that in our physical world, to make people perverted and degraded and unworthy and self-conscious and self-hating. It's all actually to block our tree from growing in the direction that is meant to flower and come back into union with God, and to grow sideways into the phantom and to be stuck in a lower timeline. So I guess the last thing that I want to share actually is that in order to be helpful, to be a helpful starseed, we can't just be on the other side of the bridge, right? A bridge exists because the bridge exists on both sides. That's how people get from one end of the bridge to the other side of the bridge. And so a lot of starseeds say, oh, those evil things don't exist. We just have to be love and light. We can't look at those things or we're going to get pulled into a low vibration. And that's really only true if you're not in your grounded embodied mastery. If you are in your mastery, and this is where mastery comes, why is it called mastery? It's like, can you look into the face of evil and still hold grace and compassion, but also integrity, and holding that presence of truth so that these energies can come back into union and dissolve and come into repentance, right? This is like true angel energy, that it's not just like all love and light to demons. It's, if you ever try to send love and light to demons, they laugh in your face. Some people say, oh, you just gotta love the demons and they'll go away. That's just crazy talk. They've clearly never dealt with any demons if they say that. Okay. But you're in presence, and you're present with a reality over the next periods of time. To be honest, we're probably still 3 to 5 years out before physical Aurora hubs can come online. But that doesn't mean that you can't get your land. It doesn't mean that you can't start, retreats even on your land. It's just about this multidimensional light field architecture that's going to take time to fully come online. So it's going to take that time for you to build your light body and for you to build your sacred site. That's essentially what you're doing. When you are in guardianship of land, it becomes a co-creationship where, because you have deep respect and you can read and communicate with the land can then trust you to be a conduit for this higher consciousness, for this Aurora consciousness, to upgrade the elemental base structures of the land. And that's what's happening. So that's a process, right? It takes time for you. Those of you that have been in Isa, how long it takes to rehabilitate your light body because of all the crazy stuff that is set against us. How many hours of daily meditation and practices and ceremonies and stillness it really takes to find ourselves back into our core. Well, when you think about rehabilitating a planetary structure, that's going to take even more time. Now, the more capacity you have to transmit this high frequency coherence, the more powerful you're going to have an impact on the Earth's grid. This is why it begins inside of us. It begins inside of our body, and then it communicates and translates into the land, and then it translates into the grid, and then it translates into the byproduct of planetary healing and awakening. Is this making sense? I hope that this is making sense. But yes, this is the next level. First is healing yourself. Then is learning to communicate. Then it's finding the land, right? Then is being with the land, sitting with the land, meditating with the land, building a sacred site. That's essentially what you're doing. You're building an Aurora platform, building an Aurora hub. Inside of the Aurora hub, there are no diseased consciousness. There is no distortion. And so this is why you have to heal yourself, because how could you build a space of no distortion if the distortions are still living inside of you? This is why we're going to have time, right? This is why some of you are like, well, I've been looking for land for years and I can't find it. I've been trying to build on this land. It's way easier to deeply listen and to know what exactly you're meant to build than to build something haphazardly and then have to tear it down, right? Because you can disturb land consciousness. Like springs. If you dig around the spring, you can dry up the spring. If you dig around sacred sites, you can block the vortex, right? So it's really important for you to have a deep, subtle attunement to land before you try to build this multidimensional, interdimensional light technology structure, which requires a lot of training. It requires a lot of training. It's not just something that will happen by accident, as I have discovered in life. Nothing happens. If you look at anything great, really, it didn't happen by accident. It happened through a lot of effort, a lot of devotion, a lot of commitment, a lot of fire in my soul, right? A lot of these kinds of virtues that we're building inside of our human body. So I hope that you can help us anchor this Aurora hub that is going to support and so many people in coming into their highest soul's alignment, embodiment, prophecy. This retreat is about your soul's prophecy. I can't wait for these very lucky 24 to 28 people to be here on the land and just be absolutely blasted open in the most organic way, because we're doing it organically through our own bodies, ascension mechanisms like meditation. And then for the rest of you, please come in to the Earth Star Academy if you can, because this is kind of the stuff that we're working on all the time. People are going through the curriculum so that they can learn all of these different aspects of the training. You know, it's here for a reason. The Guardians have asked me to build this for a reason. And it first came to me in 2015. I saw the Earth Star Academy, and they told me that it was going to take 7 years of training, of diligence, of practice, of showing up, of tests of human character before this academy can be opened. And that's exactly what happened. I went through 7 years of very intense training, very intense initiations, light body activations, crazy experiences, things that really showed me who I am as a human person and the maturity and the capacity I'm able to hold. And then in 2022, we opened this academy, and the first 250 modules came through, and I had to do it, in between feedings and raising a newborn. And that took a lot of commitment as well. So truly, it is born out of this integrity and this Christed essence of devotion to our mission. And this is why this force field of the Aurora plasma, that is the body of the mothership, can really hold space for the future generations of the Starseed mission as well. So, if at this moment you can't afford it, that doesn't mean that you're not meant to be a part of it. It just means that there's something else that you're meant to be doing right now. Maybe you're avoiding getting a job. Maybe you need to figure some things out on your own for a little while. I know that we have a big mission, and if you're going to accomplish your mission, $89 is not a lot. If you need to buy a piece of land and be a guardian to a home and lead humanity to a brand new world, these are things that we need to start to normalize in our body. And I'm here to support winners and to support people who are willing, who are devoted, who are capable, who are ready to embody self-leadership, and then home leadership, and then maybe even eventually planetary leadership. We're here to do it together, and I'm so excited to do this with you. My little light here. Julie says there's a lot of light call. So Julie's actually joining us for this retreat. She says that Z offers an ISA and a whole library of many, many healing ceremonies. There's so much value in ISA. Yes, we offer many live calls every month. We have community calls, healings. There's like 100 meditations, courses. So I am just reading through some of these. Judy says, if you're not part of ISA, you need it. Sign up today. Thank you, guys. But yeah, I'm just looking through here. Okay, that was all a lot. Let me know how you guys are feeling. This is so much energy that's accreting. I think more than anything is this frequency that is the homing beacon, is the signal. And it's very exciting, you guys. It's just such an exciting time on Earth. It might not look that way for a while. In fact, a lot of energies coming through for the equinox has been around death. We can't be afraid of death and things dying. The world as it is, there's going to be a lot of death. especially because, the death cult and how we've have this like depraved relationship. A lot of these psychopaths have a depraved relationship. They're killing beings, killing innocent beings in a very horrific way, right? So this is literally disrupting the death portals and the death passageways and that part of the architecture of the planet. And so when that comes up into collective consciousness, which it will, which it is, right? This is when we see like, oh, Diddy's going to jail. Oh, Epstein went to jail. Like, what is about to be unveiled onto the planet? Very disgusting, discrepant, perverted energies, okay, are coming up to the surface. And that whole system that was built, on that depravity has to die. So over the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to see that, right? We're going to have to see the world create space. We're going to see these, well, as we raise our frequency, as we work with the land, as we land these higher Aurora hubs in our body, these grids are going to clear and things are going to clear and make a way for that future that we're seeing, that we're landing. We're just in this alchemical process and time in the timeline right now where, don't be afraid of the dark. Don't be afraid of evil. Don't be afraid of the things that mock God and do these horrible things, right? It's like so many people, when they do plant medicine and when they meditate, they're like, oh, I was with the guardians, or oh, I was riding a unicorn. And for me, every single time I'm down in the freaking basement of human consciousness with the children that are being trafficked. And this happens because this is what my soul is here for. I am here to make sure that none of those things happen to any child ever again. That's what my mission is. And so, yes, we need to stay grounded in our light. We need to stand on the other side of the bridge. And if we're afraid to go and see those things, then we're not actually landed in the light, the true light. If we're afraid to go and, do you believe that these innocent people and children asked to be killed and experience life in such a terrifying way? So no, and I explained this in the foundations level curriculum about the absolute free will experiment, because with the absolute free will experiment, there were loopholes that certain beings then created, and they fell so far that they forgot that it was an experiment, and now they're fighting for their life because they don't know. They think like after this experiment ends, they're going to die, right? So but anyway, these are very mental things, and we just have to ask our heart, what are we here for? If that was happening to my child, what would I do? And this, moves us out of the mental body where the new age and the thought process and the belief systems will lock us into our mind forever, and it'll land us into our body where we can actually come out of the freeze and begin to operate in alignment with our soul's purpose. Begin to move and take actions, right? Again, spiritual airhead syndrome. I just think it's so funny. We've all been there, okay? I've been there. Before I turned 27, I was living in the United States. I have another piece of land that will also be an Aurora hub, but the United States is not ready. The United States is not ready for a true Aurora hub to be built just yet. You can have land there. You can begin to work with the land. But here's the thing. When you begin to work with the land, you'll really begin to see where the land is at, right? What is actually in the land. And you'll begin to, this is why it's important for you to start to get your properties and buy your land and start your stewardship. But it's still, we're a ways out from building the hubs, because there's so much work that needs to go into the land and the healing and the rehabilitation before anything can go in. So, yes, my property in New Mexico, also a really incredible story that came along with that. It's in my book. I won't regurgitate the story again. But yes, Light says, is Ireland ready? So there are some places in Ireland that are ready, but again, it really just depends on what you mean by ready. Ready is fully coherent, activated light body that is able to transduce eternal source intelligences through the earth. So every piece of land is going to be different. Every single piece of land is going to be different. Even in Ireland itself, there's going to be land that is still very wounded and land that is much closer to being ready. And you have to actually just learn to communicate with land to hear what is needed. Maybe the land just wants a stone circle. Maybe it just wants to have a ceremony. Maybe it wants to have families coming. Mia says, how about Mexico? When will you be ready? These are mental questions. Who cares when it's going to be ready? Just get yourself ready, right? If you are in your own soul's prophecy timeline and you're doing everything you can to activate your own light body and you're doing everything you can to work with the land, that will accelerate the timeline and make it come faster. So we can't know when, because it depends on us and it depends on the universe and it depends on this cosmic energies and how the ley lines come online when we come online, right? It's a co-creation. So it's so important for these centers to be all around the world. Every single place on the planet, there will be land that becomes rehabilitated. And these lands will be the first places that complete rehabilitation happens, where people will come to these places and their bodies will just heal, because no disease exists when our consciousness is circulating in inner earth and into cosmic energies. When these coherent, fluid, eternal love, eternal heaven energies are flowing, there's no disease that can exist in that field, right? Which is why Jesus can miraculously heal people, because he was such a massive portal of this coherence. Just being in his presence, it will just restore the body back into its original template. So the Aurora Hubs are basically restoring the planet back into its original template, but it begins with us rehabilitating our own body and then learning to work with the land. Now, it's a multifaceted process, because in the intermediate level, in the grid work course, we're also going to talk about right relationship with land, because so oftentimes we're so disconnected from the land that we don't realize that the land is a very sensitive being and there is a communication that happens. We just want to do healing on the land, and we're going to just go and heal the land, and we're going to do all this stuff to the land. And the land just needs us to listen. The land needs us to so deeply listen and be able to listen and hear what she's saying, so that she can trust our hand when she does need healing. Okay? And so we need to do that on ourselves first and foremost. And then once we become this Aurora Hub, we can work with the land. We're going to find our land and build this multi-year relationship with the land before this is what we're going to do on our land, right? We're going to meditate for a year or two on the land before we ever think about building anything. Imagine that, right? And I think about this, like I just go and I touch the ground. I touch the ground and I just touch her and I say, wow, you're so precious. You're so beautiful. And I think about the ways that humans just go on with their diggers and they just start digging a foundation for a house without even talking to her, without asking for her permission, without asking if this is a good place for a house. And so, we have this rehabilitation of our humans' right relationship with the land that we have to do before we can just come in and build on these lands. And this is a multi-year process. It's a multi-year process because there's so much that wants to come through. There's so much technology that is meant to be anchored with every stone that is going to be placed on the land. It's creating a different energy access into a different dimensionality. And when we work on this together, we can rehabilitate this planet in a very, very, when you think about it, 3 to 5 years isn't that long, right? There's a famous quote that say people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but underestimate what they can do in 10 years. Like imagine in 10 years, right? Every human being in the planet is feeling this arousal of divine love in their hearts. That's no time at all. That's not a lot of time. So, it's happening. We're on this timeline. It's dependent on us. Things are going to go a little crazy in the external world. It doesn't matter. There's no bifurcation. I mean, it looks like it. If you look at it from one angle, yes, we're bifurcating, right? We're like ascending, and it looks like a lot of people are just going through it. But at the end of the day, We didn't come to this planet just to leave it, just to have no impact on it. That's what the bifurcation are trying to do, is trying to split us up, is trying to put the star seeds in one pocket so that we don't impact or have any influence on the planet. So the true timeline is, it looks like it's bifurcating, but then there's going to be a reunification, because we're actually rehabilitating the whole planet and every single filament of consciousness on it. It's exciting. Every single lost soul, every broken DNA strand, every single thing. We are rehabilitating every single thing. Everything in this whole universe is upgrading into divine union, divine will architecture. Okay? And it begins with us and our body and our consciousness coming into coherence, learning about right relationship with ourself, our tribe, our family, the foundation of civilization. We can't build an ascended civilization and we don't know what is involved in that, right? So oftentimes, this is the last thing that I'll say, is that so oftentimes spiritual airhead syndrome leads to communism. Okay? Spiritual airhead syndrome leads to communism, because instead of encouraging individual greatness, right? Sovereignty, establishing right virtues in our heart, becoming courageous and strong and embodied, we're encouraging victimization. Oh, I can't make money. Let's all just share everything and we'll just all live over here in a pocket, and we're so spiritual, but we just, we can't, deal with the I really don't mean to be making fun of anyone, but really I'm just saying I had spiritual airhead syndrome because I lived in the United States, in this beautiful land that I was working on for a while. And I overstayed my visa. I was like, I'm a star seed. Rules don't apply to me. And then I got a 10-year ban because when I left the country, my passport was expired. And so, that's what happened to me with my spiritual airhead syndrome. Okay. And then I took care of that. God was like, you need to take care of your credit. You need to take care of your bank accounts. You need to take care of your trusts, right? You need to protect yourself, because it's like the three little pigs. If you build your house made of straw and just think that God is going to take care of you, right? God made wood and God made bricks. And by the way, at any point I can just get a waiver. So I'm actually working on that right now. I'm not going to be banned from the United States for that long. We are working on building trusts legally, right? Not through spiritual airhead syndrome. We're building proper trusts and businesses. And then I'm going to be able to get a work visa, and that's going to be just allow me back into the States. So we're taking care of that. There's no worries there. But this is like part of the Saturn return, part of graduating and becoming an adult. Is like there is literal delusion going on in our civilization, in our spiritual community. And the new age false light glass ceiling is literally banking off that. It's banking off the delusion. It's banking off us being ungrounded and not in our human self and in our la la land. And it's like, okay, yes, we're building Aurora Hubs. Look at this frequency. It's so immaculately light. And how are we going to ground it? How are we going to build it? How are we going to make it happen and actually click it into the earth where all this devastation exists? Okay, so this is what we're all about here at the Earthstar Academy. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for nearly 2 hours. It is so good to be back. I'm so happy to be back with all of you guys. I'm looking forward to seeing those of you that'll come out to the retreat. This discount for the lifetime membership is going to expire in a week. Okay, so that means for a whole life, you're going to have access to all of the hundreds, 700, probably more actually, that's just a guesstimate, 700 modules of a curriculum and a whole library of ceremonies and healings and trainings and workshops. And, we have monthly women's circles, men's circles, community circles, and the lifetime access also gives you a 2% discount on all future in-person live events. So it's just a steal. It's an absolute no-brainer. If you have that $2,400 sitting around, it's a no-brainer. Okay, you're not going to regret it whatsoever. So I am so grateful for all of you guys that are helping me out with this land stewardship. I am not worried. I am not scared. I am pushed to my limits, and I love it. I'm just hardcore, baby. I'm here for planetary rehabilitation and no less than that. So, heaven on earth or bust. That's the timeline I'm on. And if you're with me on that, I'm so happy. I see you, Angel. You're a badass just like me. And I love you so much. I'll see you at the next live stream. Bye for now.